Just making sure all my hair is in place. Yeah, because with these twists, sometimes they can get a bit unruly and they like to do what they want to do. So, gotta make sure everything is tucked neatly away. So, if you guys are watching on the replay, hello. I hope you've been having a great week and I hope you've had a great Wednesday. So, we're just gonna wait to see who pops up. And, like always, at 6:03, we are going to get started. So, my sister is here. Hi, Lawanda. So my niece is here too. Hi, Kayla. Hey, Bryce. So my family is watching me right now. So no pressure at all. Yeah, so let's see where we are. We still have probably a little bit under 2 more minutes. And tonight's live video is going to be a bit different from my other Let It Go Wednesday videos because normally when I talk about things, it's in past tense, things that I've learned. But tonight's video is about things that I am learning. So I am still in the process of figuring this particular thing out. And I've recently been made aware of some things. So it's like, uh oh. So this is going to be interesting because normally I already know exactly what I'm going to say, what I want to talk about. Because when you go back over things, it's like it can get pretty lengthy. Thank you. So I think this is my nephew typing, saying I'm doing a good job. And he is so sweet, y'all. So he was here last week when I did the Pick My Brain video on Masterpieces Writing. And when I finished, he was like, "You did a great job," So he is so sweet. So I think that's him talking to me. All right, y'all. So it is 6:03. So we are going to go ahead and jump into everything. So the promo for this Let It Go Wednesday, I was referencing the song because I don't even know who sings it. I don't even know the actual title, but I see it on TikTok all the time. The song, like she's a runner, she's a track star. And I didn't listen to it beyond that point. But one day I watched a video that was a little longer. And I started to listen to the first verse, and it was talking about how she runs away when things get hard. Like she doesn't want scars. I was like, uh oh, that's me. And if you guys have noticed from my previous videos, like just about every issue that I have ever had in life, I ran away from it. If things went sour with friendships, I was gone. If things went sour with my family, I was gone. Like I always thought to remove myself from the situation. And oftentimes I thought that I had to do that, even with relationships. It's like, okay, this isn't going the way I want it to go. So guess what? I'm going to go. And whenever I would tell people, my experiences, I would always say that it was like the scene in What's Love Got to Do with It when Tina Turner just ran across the road, from the hotel because it's like she had to, like that was her only escape. Because that's how it felt to me at the time. But recently, I have been made aware that I was not running at all. Because running is what puts you in the driver's seat. It makes you feel like you're in control. I decided to leave the situation. I decided to remove myself from it. So, after a recent meltdown that I had last month, which I'm not ashamed to say, because we all have our moments. But for the past 10 years, I have been wanting to go to therapy. But I remember at the time LSU was offering free counseling sessions. But because I knew the person who was over, the counseling sessions, I was like, I'm not going to go because I don't want her to think I'm crazy, which is crazy in and of itself to think that, knowing that you do need some outside help, but you talk yourself out of it. So finally, 10 years later, like at that point, I realized like I definitely need to go. And probably for the past 2 years or so, like that's when I started to revisit the idea, like, okay, I definitely need to go. And like during that time, I was in a relationship that was very stressful, and it's like, okay, like the way that I'm feeling does not feel natural, and it's like I definitely need to go. So now that that relationship is past tense, and I was able to just really deal with myself, because I'm learning also that sometimes like the relationships that we have with other people, they are just a distraction to keep you away from dealing with yourself, dealing with your true issues. So after coming to those conclusions, I was like, okay, so we're definitely going to go through with it this time and get a therapist. And I am so glad that I did. In the very first session, she told me, she was like, you have a lot of unresolved trauma, which wasn't surprising at all. But it's how I responded to it and how she described how I responded to it. That's what took me aback. And I was telling her, like, I would run. I was well aware of the fact that I would run. But she's like, you're not running, you're retreating. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't like how that felt, because running is like, that's active. That's me going. But me retreating, it's like that's passive. That's me doing absolutely nothing about it. And she's like, yeah, that's why you're retreating, because you're not resolving the issue. The issue is still there. Like, you don't confront, you retreat. And it took me back to a time when I did just want to hide. I wanted to isolate myself from people. And those feelings first started popping up for me when I was in middle school. Because during that time, even if it was sunny outside, it felt like a rainy day. I hated the school where I was. It's like, even being around the kids at that time, it's like everybody made me uncomfortable, because I felt like everyone made me aware of my insecurities. And even with my friends during that time, like one friend in particular, I didn't even want to admit at the time that this is like not a good friendship, because it more so benefited her. It was practically a friendship where, whatever she wanted from me, she got it. But it wasn't reciprocated. And at the time, I didn't even want to admit that it was technically bullying. Like whenever there was an audience, she would act out, and I would allow her to. And it's like, if it was at my expense, it was at my expense. And it took me years to finally be able to admit, like, oh wow, like, so that was bullying. But I was at a very, 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 very low place in life, and I just didn't want to deal with anything. So I hid. And the people who went to school with me during that time, like, as soon as the first cold front showed up, I was in my jacket and I would stay there until May, even if it was burning up hot, because I felt like that was a safety net for me, staying in that jacket. Like, no one can see me. And I think I might have mentioned this in one of my body image videos, about how, like, I would just stay in those jackets, and like that was me not wanting people to see my body, because I was very insecure about my body at that time. Like, I always thought my arms were too long, my hands were too big. So that was something that would distract from it, so I would hide. So during that time, I knew for a fact that I retreated. I knew that I isolated myself and I didn't confront. But a couple of years after that, like, I started to act out and being angry. So to me, I thought that, okay, I'm not in that place where I used to be. So it's like, I'm not isolating myself. I'm letting you know what it is. And it's like, I was quick to pop off. And I think I might have mentioned this in a previous video as well. But even still, there were certain situations where I wouldn't even say anything. I would just disappear. I would just go without giving people any type of explanation whatsoever. Even with family members, it's like, even after we had words, it's like, but after this, I'm not talking to you again. So that was me removing myself from the situation, but at the end of the day, that was me not resolving it. And I'm realizing now that not doing anything is not solving the problem. Even though I do understand that in certain situations, you might have to remove yourself from the situation, cut off all communication, like in extreme cases, and even if there's a very, like, traumatic event, like if there's abuse. So it's like, sometimes, like, you do definitely have to cut those ties off. But in my case, a conversation could have cleared up a lot of things, but I was not at the level to where I could have these conversations. Like, I did not have the communication skills. Like, I did not have the emotional intelligence at the time to know that you can talk through your issues. To me, what I saw around me, you just stop talking to people. You remove yourself from the situation, but really, that wasn't me addressing it at all. And one thing that I wanted to say, which I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, in all of the videos that I've done up until this point, I am by no means a licensed professional. I am just sharing my experiences and hoping that someone is moved by the things I am saying. So do not look to me as your go-to, as someone who has it all figured out, as someone who is definitely giving you a roadmap, because I am not that person. And in the event that you do need that person, please do seek a licensed professional, someone who really can help you. And as well as anyone else who joins me on here, I want everyone to know that this is a safe space and you do not have to share any information that is incriminating, because I'm not going to share any information that is incriminating, and I don't want to tell other people's stories, and I don't want other people to feel as if they're obligated to tell other people's stories as well. But sometimes those stories intertwine, and I am going to do my best to make sure that even if it involves other people, it is still going to be my story as well as the stories of other people who join me. So I just wanted to make that disclaimer, because what I wanted to share with you all is things that I've shared before, but it still wasn't like detailed, the things that I shared. So in me realizing that I was a runner, I was a track star, as soon as it was a hint of a problem, it's like I'm gone. It's like I just can't do this. I don't have to deal with it. So one of the things that happened to me when I was a freshman in college, I had this big fallout with my dad, and it led to a big fallout with my family. And when I tell you things were very strained, things were very strained. And of course, at that time, yes, like I said, a conversation probably could have cleared up a lot of things because it was like one really big misunderstanding. But again, at the time, I felt as if, at the end of the day, even though, yes, technically I am an adult, I'm not the adult in the situation. You're the parent. So I always felt as if it should have been him who made the first move to initiate that conversation. So I just didn't feel the need to talk to him because of that. I was like, for what? It's like he did that to me. So what I'm talking to him for, right? But it took some years, like probably 8 years, before it was me just willingly being open to asking for help. And even how that came about, it was like, God just placed everything to where like you have no other way to get around this issue except for to ask him help. And it was like asking for help. So it was like that was the olive branch, right? And it was like in that, because of course, like it had been kind of uneasy easing back into, having a relationship with him. But it's like once you realize that at the end of the day, people can only give you what they have to give. And if they didn't grow up with the best examples, it's like you can't really hold that much against them, because they are only repeating what they see. And especially with them growing up during a time period to where things were very difficult for black people, they still are. But at the time, like that was the peak of the civil rights movement. And, black people were already having it hard, and everyone is stressed out. So, like that's going to trickle down to your relationships that you had with people. And people who were parenting back then, they were just providing. It's like they couldn't really, be there for you emotionally because no one has showed them how to. Because it's like I have to figure out how to survive. So it was difficult to figure out how to be there for someone emotionally. So in being in that type of situation growing up, it's like I was afraid to really just be in touch with my emotions. And the best way that I knew how not to have anyone tamper with my emotions was to not deal with them. But like I said, in getting older and getting wiser and learning from my past mistakes, it's like I'm learning, it's like there's only so much that you can hold against people. And even though I know certain things are unforgivable, a lot of things are forgivable. But you just have to get to the point to where you realize that. And over the weekend, I reached out to an old friend, and I had convinced myself that it was all my fault because of that fallout with my dad. It's like I just started shutting a lot of people out. And this friend did absolutely positively nothing to me. All she wanted to do was check on me, but I just could not see myself talking to people during that time period because I was so angry. And even though the people who I was used to, sharing all bad news with, because misery loves company, I didn't have a problem telling them what happened. But with her, it was like I just couldn't bring myself to have that conversation with her. So years later, I decided to reach out to her, and I felt the energy was off, right? And I was like, oh, it's too late. Too much time has passed. And I would always tell people, like, that's the one friend who I should have nurtured, and I should have just allowed our relationship to blossom, but I was so caught up in my other mess. But once I decided to reach out to her, she was like, she had not the slightest clue. Like, I felt the way I felt. And even with me apologizing to her, she was like, why is she apologizing? Because she had thought that I was just off doing great things. And sometimes life happens like that to where you just get busy, and it's not that you purposely stop communicating with a person. It's just that, your responsibilities change and you just don't have that time. And I was really grateful that she felt that way. I was like, wow, you thought that? Like, wow. And it's like it made me feel a whole lot better because, again, you know, based on like my past relationships with people, it's like I'm used to being the person who removes myself. So, of course, I would think that she would do that to me because again that's what I was used to doing. So it was really refreshing to know that she wasn't holding that against me. And in talking to her, like I was able to build up the strength to reach out to someone else who I had cut up during that same time that I was reaching back out to her again. Because I felt this particular friend was repeating what someone else had done. So the same friend who I was telling you about, who was more so like a bully in middle school. And I just felt that she was reminding me of her. So in the event that I got an opportunity to go, I left. And you know how sometimes like you feel as if you will feel as if you're vindicated if someone accepts your apology, if you know that they forgive you. But as soon as I sent the message to her, I felt the weight lifted. And it was like, regardless of what she says or does not say, I know that I'm not carrying this around anymore at all. And even with her response, it was like, I'm fine with that. I am fine. And I'm learning to see the beauty that comes with not retreating, with facing things head on. Because even with that particular friend, a conversation could have cleared up a lot. And even if at that time I decided not to continue the relationship, I could have done that. Instead of just deciding to just stop communicating. Because again, all that does is just stir up more confusion and it just fueled my anger more. When again, a conversation could have cleared all of that up, and I am learning that now. So I was really, 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 really shocked to find out that I was retreating, that I still was that same 12-year-old girl. Because I had convinced myself recently that I was giving her permission to grow up, and I didn't think she was still there. I didn't. I was like, now I'm working on the 18-year-old me. But I'm saying, wait a minute, that 12-year-old is still a part of that 18-year-old. Because it's just that they looked a bit different. The 18-year-old was angry, the 12-year-old was sad. But at the end of the day, underneath the anger in that 18-year-old, she was sad too. And the biggest thing that has been like the biggest lesson for me and the biggest eye opener is the relationship that I had. So if you guys have heard me mention Bay in previous videos, I am finally comfortable in accepting of the fact that he is my ex-boyfriend. Because in referring to him as Bay, that's still leaving, some hope that we will be able to reconcile and restore our relationship. But I'm realizing that whether we do or we don't, I have to be okay with that. Because regardless of what we felt for each other, if we just were not ready, we just were not ready. And I cannot speak for him, but I know for a fact that I was not. And I was convincing myself that I was. Because I was like, okay, so I've grown through all of these other things, which I hadn't. Again, I just retreated and removed myself from the situation. There was no healing whatsoever. So, of course, I would end up in a situation to where all of these things are coming back up. And even in the early days of our relationship, whenever there was an issue, my first thought, I have to leave this relationship. Like, I can't be here like this. And it's like I would be shocked whenever we would be able to talk through something. Because, again, I wanted to go. So I'm like, wait, that's all we have to do is talk about things. But it finally got to a point to where it was, like, too much of a wait. And, of course, in hindsight, just like all those other times before, addressing it head on, actually having that uncomfortable conversation, probably would have changed the outcome, to where we could have figured out how to figure it out within the relationship. But I was like, no, I have to go. And that's what I did. And again, I didn't see it that way, but it was running instead of confronting. And I realized that had I confronted all those things that I had thought I confronted, if I had really confronted them, I probably would have never agreed to the relationship because I would have realized that I'm still working on me. So there's absolutely no way that I can be able to give this person what they need if I can't give that to myself. And that was always reflected in my other relationships as well, my friendships, the relationship with my family. Always giving, but then getting upset when I'm not getting it back. So if you didn't watch my letting go of the need to feel appreciated video, this is what I'm referencing to. I talked in more detail about my reactions to that, about being a people pleaser, wanting to seek validation from people, and I honestly thought I had let all of that go. But I realized I hadn't. And even within the past couple of months, even last month, I realized I still was holding on to all of that. Still was. It's like underneath all of it, there still was a little bit of me that still was looking to be what other people wanted from me, to be able to give to people. But at the end of the day, I'm depleting myself, looking for the validation that I can get from affirming myself. So that's been my focus lately. Actually dealing with me and not making it about other people, because I'm learning that those are just distractions. Things to keep me busy, to avoid actually realizing what it is that I still need to take time to work on. So, in all of that, I realized that the biggest thing that I have been running from is me. And I was like, I spent a lot of time with myself, engaged in a lot of self reflection. But I was like, but wait, you weren't really digging as deep as you needed to go, which is why I'm so grateful for therapy, because it's helping me do that now. Like, when I tell y'all, like, it's been a lot of times I've just been sitting there, like, oh, wow, I didn't think about it in that way. Like, oh, okay, so that's where I am in life right now. But, like, I really am, like, I look forward to my sessions, because it's like I do feel myself becoming a better version of me. And oftentimes it's not that we need a completely different person. We just need a better version of ourselves, and that's what I'm discovering. And actually getting to the point to where you really understand who you are, what your purpose in life is. And once you understand that, it's like you're not giving in to what the outside world requires of you. You're operating from the inside out, not the outside in. And of course, that's been my focus lately. And the biggest thing that contributes to all of that is fear. Just fear. And even though I talked a little bit about it in the fear of success video that I did back in February, just fear, period. When I tell y'all I have been scared of a lot of things in life, like terrified of a lot of things in life, like simple things that other people would not even think is that big of a deal. Like, I have. Like, I moved back home. It would be a year at the end of next month. And there are still things that I have not done to this room, because it's like I am fearful of what I might stumble across. Because again, it's like it had been years since I had been in this room, and it's like, who knows what's in here? And I think the fear was me stumbling across something that will remind me of who I used to be. But now I'm at a point to where I can face it. Even doing the things that scare me most, even in business. It's like just really putting myself out there, knowing what my worth is, and just sharing that with people. And just to do a quick plug, if you guys have not seen my new ebook, The Key to Accountability: How to Hold Yourself and Others Accountable, is available for pre-order now. So if you were looking for a quick guide that is easy to read, easy to follow, that will give you step-by-step instructions on how to hold yourself accountable, and not just to create goals, but to actually work toward those goals, achieve those goals. It will teach you how to prioritize, create an action plan, how to track your progress. And if you're someone who wants to help others and you want to keep them accountable, it works for you too. And it actually, teaches you how to be understanding of other people, how to not necessarily be the person who is like the person who just tells them you need to do this, you need to do that, but more so just being there as a support system to help guide them along their journey, because oftentimes we do need a community, and I'm realizing that as well. So if you need your tribe, this will teach you how to build it, how to find the right people who can help you reach your goals, and how you can be that right person. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, go ahead and click the link in the bio and pre-order your copy for $9.99. And that is the special pre-order price. And I also have 2 worksheets that are going to be included, so make sure you take advantage of that. Again, my new ebook is The Key to Accountability: How to Hold Yourself and Others Accountable. And I have been holding myself accountable, and I also have other people holding me accountable, as well as I am on this journey where I don't have to run anymore, where I don't have to retreat. Any issue or problem that I have, I find a solution. And walking away from it is not the solution. Retreating from it is not the solution. Finding a solution is the solution. Something that will continuously help me along the way, something that I can always go back to. Because again, yes, I did it repeatedly, But that was not a good coping mechanism because I end up in the same situations over and over again. So the key is to find effective strategies that will help push you forward in life, and that is what I am currently working on. And like I told you guys at the start of the video, like this is one thing that I am in the process of figuring out. So I've had a lot of new revelations in a very short time. So it's like I've just been processing everything, and I probably will come back and keep you guys updated. I might make it a YouTube series, just my journey in general into being a better me, being someone who confronts all of her fears, not just some of them, not the ones that are more comfortable than others, but all of them. And I think that biggest fear is just me stepping into who I know I'm supposed to be, who I was created to be. And I think that's why I allowed myself to stay in situations to where it was comfortable. So we have someone else who joined. Hello. And I think I allowed myself to stay in situations where it was comfortable. But when you're comfortable, you don't really grow. You might have some, peaks, but it's like more so you're in valleys. And I have spent a lot of time in valleys trying to climb that mountain, but some kind of way sliding back down. But now we're continuously climbing, little by little by little. Like we don't have to scale the mountain in one day. It's like we're just gonna, take it inch by inch, and eventually we will reach the top. So I really do appreciate you guys for tuning in to this video. And of course, it was a little different, and it's not really, me adding like any tips and strategies to help you guys like go over too, because again, I'm figuring it out. But my biggest thing that I want you guys to know is that running is not a solution. You are simply retreating and leaving the problem unresolved and allowing it to fester and grow. And that's why it's going to arise again. Like you're not going to get rid of it. It's going to present itself in a different way, but it is still going to be the same problem. But I have reached a point in my life to where I am tired of encountering the same obstacle, and this time I am going to tackle it. And I am tackling it head on. So just continue to keep pushing yourself to go after the life that you know you are deserving of, the life that you know you were created to live. Push fear aside. Face it head on. Let fear know that you have absolutely positively no place here in my life. And I'm not going to run. I'm not going to retreat. I'm not going to hide. I'm going to stay right here, and I'm going to figure it out. No matter how much I have to go through to figure it out. Because sometimes we don't want to be sad. We don't want to be hurt. We don't want to be disappointed. But that's all in it. Those are growing pains. And eventually you won't feel anything except for joy and happiness and peace and understanding. And that is what I'm working towards, so that I can really just be free. Because even though I'm freer than I was in the past, I haven't really been free. And I cannot wait to check out Devon Franklin's book, Live Free, because I know that he talks a lot about that just from me tuning into his live videos, and it's like I can relate to a lot of people that he interviewed during the time that he was promoting this book. And I was like, wow, that's me. And it's like I'm not at a point to where I live freely, but I'm getting there. And that's the point. So all you runners and track stars out there, it is time to turn in your running shoes. And you just have to confront whatever it is that scares you, whatever it is that you are terrified of, whatever it is that you do not want to face, the thing that you feel would break you down the most, that will just reduce you to like this, little shell of yourself. It's like you have to go to those places so that you can learn how to build yourself back up. And I really do want to see all of us out here getting healed, getting better, so that we can not only give our best to the world, but be able to give that to ourselves first, so that we will be able to give it freely to others without it feeling as if they're taking, without it feeling as if they're draining us, without us being worried about whether it's being reciprocated or not, because you have an overflow, you have an abundance. And so many of us are depleted and we don't even know it, but it just takes us getting to that point to where we're willing to figure out what is going to fill us, what is going to keep our cup runneth over. So I am a huge advocate for people seeking professional help. If you guys did not know, my bachelor's degree is in psychology, and I did have the intentions of being a licensed therapist years ago, but of course I got off that track. But I still, have a love and adoration for people in that field, and that's the reason why I was so drawn to it. But I kept talking myself out of it, so I'm so glad that I'm at the point to where now it's like I can't believe that I'm saying this, that like I am in therapy and I absolutely love it. And I hope that you all will be willing to be open to it as well. Because all it is a conversation. And if you don't find the person who's the right fit, look for someone else. It's like the friendships that we build with other people. The relationships that you build with other people. If someone's not a good fit, they're just not a good fit. That's life. But sometimes there's that divine intervention to where things just, place themselves together. And I feel that happened for me. Like the first person that I reached out to, I felt a connection, and I'm really, really big on that. And I know that's not always everyone's story, but I knew, like, that was confirmation for me. You did it at the right time. So, guys, I cannot say that I have fully let go of being a runner and a track star, but I know for a fact that going forward, I will be able to fully let it go. Because I'm not going to lie, the thought is still there. But I'm just working on what my actions are to prevent me from doing that. So now I am willing to not retreat. I'm willing to just sit there and feel whatever it is that I need to feel, go through whatever it is that I need to go through so that I can get to the other side of it. Because when I retreat, I'm taking paces back. I'm not moving forward, and I don't want to be stuck in that place and continue to backtrack when the goal is to progress and move forward. So I probably will keep you all updated on my progress. And next week is going to be an off week, but in 2 weeks, I will be back again, and I will be over on Add Masterpieces Writing with Pick My Brain. Not sure the topic yet, because lately I've just been going by what I feel instead of going by what's listed in order, because I feel that it flows more naturally that way. But if there is anything that you guys want to hear from me, let me know. If there's anything you want to hear going forward on Let It Go Wednesday, let me know that as well. If you guys have been runners and track stars as well, let me know that. If you want to hop on a live with me and share your story, or if you just want to promote your business and you want to share some tips, strategies with people, let me know that. I'm all about sharing my platform, and even though it's small now, I know that it's going to grow. And I don't just want to hog up everything for myself. Like, there's enough room for us all to share, and I am no stranger to that. So I just want to extend my platform to everyone who is interested. And I really do hope you guys enjoy tonight's video, and I hope that you have an amazing night. And I will see you all in 2 weeks. So thanks again for watching. Bye.